There comes a point when watch lovers stop caring about big brand names and start caring about real quality. For many people, that journey leads straight to Seiko. For over 100 years, Seiko has been making reliable, beautiful watches that anyone can afford. In 2026, Seiko is more popular than ever, with new models selling fast and fans all over the world. Today, we're counting down the top 10 Seiko watches everyone is buying this year. Let's get started. Number 10, Seiko 5 Sports SRPD 51. Every great journey has a starting point, and for a generation of watch collectors, this is it. The Seiko 5 Sports SRPD 51 is the watch that answers the question everyone eventually asks, where do I begin? Navy blue dial, stainless steel bracelet, automatic movement with day-date display. It has everything a first series watch should have, and it wears on the wrist with a confidence that watches costing 5 times more sometimes struggle to pull off. The 4R36 movement inside isn't exotic, but it's honest, reliable, and satisfying to watch through the display caseback. In 2026, the SRPD 51 continues to sell in enormous numbers, not because it's trendy, but because it's genuinely good. Some watches earn their popularity. This is one of them, and the people buying it right now are making a very smart decision. Number 9, Seiko Presage Cocktail Time SRPB 41. Not every great watch is built for adventure. Some are built for the moment the lights go low and the evening begins, and the Presage Cocktail Time was born for exactly that. The deep blue sunburst dial catches light the way an ocean does at dusk, shifting and shimmering with every movement of your wrist. The applied indices gleam. The dome crystal adds a vintage warmth that flat sapphire simply cannot replicate. And underneath all that beauty, an in-house automatic movement ticks with a refinement that makes this watch feel like a genuine luxury object rather than an entry-level compromise. At its price point, the SRPB 41 has no right to be this beautiful. But here it is, in 2026, still turning heads and making people stop mid-sentence to ask what you're wearing. That's not an accident. That's Seiko knowing exactly what it's doing. Number 8, Seiko Prospex SPB 143 Captain Willard. Some watches have a face you never forget. The Captain Willard is one of them. Named after the character from Apocalypse Now and based on the original 6105 dive watch worn in the film, this reissue carries a weight of history and design intention that most modern watches simply cannot manufacture. The cushion case, the cathedral hands, the textured dial, everything about it feels deliberate and deeply considered. In 2026, as the watch world fills with ever more derivative designs, the Captain Willard stands apart by standing on real ground. It wears beautifully on a rubber strap for casual weekends and somehow works just as well with a leather strap for evenings that call for something with character. This is a watch with a soul, and people who own it talk about it like it's a member of the family. That says everything. Number 7, Seiko Prospex SPB 121 Alpinist. There is no watch quite like the Alpinist, and in a market full of watches trying to distinguish themselves, that distinction alone is worth something. The internal compass bezel, the vintage green dial that glows with an almost otherworldly depth, the cathedral hands that read perfectly in low light. Everything about the Alpinist was designed for the mountains, and it carries that purpose in every detail without sacrificing a single ounce of beauty. The 6R35 movement offers a 70-hour power reserve, meaning it'll survive a long weekend of hiking without needing a wind. In 2026, the Alpinist has developed a devoted following that borders on cultish, and rightly so. This is the watch that makes people realize Seiko isn't just making good watches for the price. Seiko is making great watches. Full stop. Number 6, Seiko Prospex SRPE 99 Black Series. Black watches are everywhere in 2026, but very few of them do what the SRPE 99 does. The all-black treatment on this Prospex turtle isn't just an aesthetic choice, it's a statement of intent. The ion-plated case and bracelet, the matte black dial, the blacked-out bezel, together they create something that looks genuinely menacing in the best possible way, a dive watch that means business. But strip away the drama and what you have is one of the most capable and proven automatic dive watches at any price point. 200 meters of water resistance, the dependable 4R36 movement, and a wearing comfort that Seiko's turtle case shape has always delivered. In a year when everyone is reaching for something darker, something bolder, something that doesn't apologize for having presence, the Black Series SRP99 is exactly what the moment calls for. Number 5. Seiko Presage SPB 161 Enamel Dial. There are watches that are beautiful. And then there are watches where the beauty stops you, where you hold the watch under the light and genuinely forget for a moment that you were in the middle of doing something else. The SPB 161 is that watch. The white porcelain enamel dial is produced through a traditional craft that dates back centuries, fired at extreme temperatures to create a surface with a depth and luminosity that printed or painted dials simply cannot approach. On your wrist, it looks like wearing a small piece of art, and yet the 6R35 automatic movement inside is serious and precise enough to make this a daily watch, not a display piece. In 2026, as the appreciation for traditional craft continues to grow across the watch community, the SPB 161 has become the Seiko that serious collectors keep coming back to. Once you've seen it in person, you'll understand completely why. Number 4. Seiko Prospex SPB 155 Sumo. The Sumo has been beloved for decades, and in 2026, its latest iterations have pushed that love into something approaching obsession. The wide cushion case, the broad sloping bezel, the deep dial with its bold indices, everything about the Sumo is designed to be read instantly and worn comfortably, even over a wetsuit. But what people who own a Sumo always say is that photographs simply don't do it justice. The dial has a three-dimensional quality that only reveals itself in person, and the way it catches light from different angles is the kind of thing you find yourself noticing all day long. The 6R35 movement delivers 70 hours of power reserve and a smoothness that inspires confidence with every wind. This is the dive watch that converts people, the one they pick up expecting to be impressed and put down, genuinely moved. In 2026, the Sumo is earning every sale it makes. Number 3, Seiko Prospex SNE 537 Solar Diver. Here's a truth the watch world sometimes forgets. Not every great watch needs to be mechanical. The SNE 537 Solar Diver makes that case with quiet, persistent excellence. Solar powered through its dial, it charges in both natural and artificial light and stores enough energy to run for months in complete darkness, which means the only maintenance it ever asks of you is to occasionally take it outside. The dial is bold, the lume is exceptional, the 200-meter water resistance is everything a working diver needs. And the overall package represents something that even the most devoted mechanical purist has to respect. A watch designed to work perfectly forever without ever asking you to worry about it. In 2026, as people begin to question which complications actually add to their lives, the Solar Diver's answer, reliability, durability, and zero anxiety feels more compelling than ever. Number 2, Seiko Grand Seiko SBG A4M3 Shunbun. This is where Seiko stops being a conversation about value and starts being a conversation about art. The Grand Seiko SBG A413 Shunbun, named for the Japanese spring equinox, has a dial that has to be seen to be believed. Textured to evoke the delicate patterns of fresh snowfall through cherry blossom trees, it captures a moment in the Japanese seasons with a specificity and beauty that no photograph adequately conveys. The spring drive movement inside is itself a technological masterpiece, a hybrid of mechanical and electronic regulation that delivers 1 second per day accuracy with a sweeping seconds hand so smooth it seems to glide rather than tick. In 2026, the Shunbun has become the watch that collectors point to when they want to explain why Grand Seiko deserves to be mentioned alongside the great Swiss houses. It doesn't just belong in that conversation. It elevates it. Number 1. Seiko Prospex SPB 249, 1968, Diver Rissue. Everything comes full circle eventually. The SPB 249 is Seiko returning to one of the most important moments in its own history, the 1968 professional diver that set a standard the entire industry had to respond to and honoring it with every ounce of craft and care the brand possesses today. The result is a watch that feels like a direct line between then and now, the vintage proportions and dial design preserved with devotion, the modern movement and materials added with precision. On the wrist, it is immediately, unmistakably special. Not in a loud way, not in a look-at-me way, in the way that only the best-designed watches manage, a quiet certainty that you are wearing something that will still matter in 30 years. In 2026, the SPB 249 is the Seiko that everyone wants and the one that everyone who owns it refuses to sell. That's the only endorsement that ever really counts.